What up? What up? It's the man Sean P coming in live. This is the Sean P Experience on YouTube. And we are right back. That's right, 24-hour turnaround time. We over here working, baby. We grinding. We got another phenomenal guest on the show. I got my sister Kya in the building. For those that don't know, I was a guest on her Mic'd Up podcast this weeks ago. Take a pause, leave this video, go and check out that episode, and then come back to the YouTube channel. For those watching this later on, uh, incredible episode, two-part. I enjoyed my time on her podcast. So you know what? One good turn deserves another. I want her to be
Yep.
a guest on my show. So welcome my sister Kya on to the podcast. How you doing, sis?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So first of all, the first question always. This show is called Sitting with the Griots. Those watching the show don't know what a griot is. The griots or the griot, they were the ones back in African ancient times. They kept the stories, they kept the tales of the tribe or the village as they traveled. They told the stories of the victories and the losses, the battles, the family lineage, whatever. How do you feel being a modern day griot, the modern day keeper of the tale?
I never really thought about that question, but I guess I would say that I feel honored that I have the gift of storytelling, and I'm appreciative of those who are my readers and supporters. And I'm glad that I have a voice that I can share from everyone to you to people who I don't know. So I would say honored.
So whenever you think about that a little deeper, does that feel like a lot of pressure or a lot of weight to maintain that, or do you just not think about it at all?
I don't think about it at all, really. Writing for me has always been natural. So I don't really think about it too much. I just write. I don't know if that makes sense.
Sure, sure. So you have your mic'd up podcast. Tell us the reason why. Thank you very much. Tell us the reason why you started your podcast, and like whenever a person watch your show, whenever they leave, what do you want them to take away from the show when they leave your podcast?
Okay, so the Mic'd Up podcast I started last November. I had my first episode. I started it because I found that I was in kind of like a writing rut. So I wanted to keep my creative juices flowing. So I said, what can I do that's still within the community where I'm still using my creativity and it could be entertaining and things of that nature. So I said, well, I have a good relationship with some narrators. I have a good relationship with some authors. I said, well, why don't I just kind of interview them? And I didn't initially call it a podcast. I said, okay, you all did this book, the book that we're going to discuss today, 180. They're the narrators on that book. I was like, well, you all did that book. Let's get on here and kind of talk and see what happens. So it was supposed to be 6 episodes. When I started doing it, I found that I really liked it. I was really good at it. So it expanded, and a year later, here I am. So that's how it started. And what do I want people to get out of the podcast when they watch it? I want them to get a behind the scenes glance of some of their favorite authors, narrators, and creatives within the Black literary community, because so often we are on social media and we see tiny glimpses of their life. We see covers of their books. We see book blurbs every now and then, a 60-second reel, but we really don't get behind the person and get into their thought process. How did they come up with the story? Where did that come from? Where are you trying to go with this? So those are the kind of things that I felt would be entertaining to an audience. So that's what I want people to take away, is they actually got to know the person behind the pen.
So you mentioned being a naturally gifted writer, and we'll get a little bit more into that a little later. But you said the podcast was natural as well. So two different gifts. What do you enjoy more, like writing or podcasting, or is it kind of a toss up? Give me
Uh,
your favorite.
if I'm being honest right now, I'm enjoying the podcasting more because I don't really need to rely on I don't have to create a story for that. You know what I mean? I can just have my questions, read their story, and ask them about that. So right now, I would say podcasting, but writing will always be my first love.
So right now you're in the passenger seat. You're being the passenger princess, like we said.
Uh,
Um, so you've been interviewed, obviously, and you do interviews. What do you like more, being interviewed or interviewing?
Never thought about that. I think that I think right now I like being interviewed. I like that. I like that more because behind the scenes stuff, you have to make sure all the technical stuff. So it's more relaxing on this end. All I had to do was make sure I showed up and turned on my camera. But so I think I like that more. But don't get me wrong, I do like talking to our guests. I do. But if you're asking, I'll say I like being on this side.
I'm giving you a little this or that early in the show. We going
Okay,
early. Give you a little this or that, right?
this or that, I'm
Um,
ready.
you mentioned a little while ago having your relation to narrators and authors and everything prior to the pod. But just tell some of the people that's watching this the inside view of trying to book guests and what's it like reaching out to people and trying to connect and schedule. Like, talk about that process for those that have no idea what this is like.
Well, for me, I have been fortunate enough to already have relationships with the people that I have interviewed. Or whether I connected with them through social media or maybe commented on their work. So I haven't really had any difficulty securing guests. So what I typically do is I'll just go right into their DMs and say, hey, my name is this is Kya. I'm recording a podcast. Do you want to be a part of it? I let them know a little bit. I give them like an elevator pitch of what the podcast is about, how long it'll be, what they can expect when they're on there, where it's going to air, just those touch points. And that's I've been fortunate enough to have the people say yes. So I haven't faced any difficulty in that respect. But as the podcast grows, I will start reaching out to people who I don't have a connection with. So I know I'll have to test those waters and see how that goes when I get there.
Yeah, because me doing it for a while on this side of the camera, I have gotten to a point to where, like yourself, I am a DM diver.
Mm,
I get some of these big guests. People say, "Man, how you book that person?" I inbox them and they say yes.
gotta ask.
But at a certain level, you get to a point to where it is about talking to a publicist and hunting down who the agent is and hunting down who this person is, and you got to CC that person, and it does become those third and fourth party kind of things. And whenever you get there, we go chop it up, and I'll definitely give you the game
I was gonna
on how to
say
do.
I'll
Yeah,
for sure reach out to you when I'm on that when I get there.
yeah, sharing is caring. And I want to also say before I move on from that, a lot of your in the author space for me so far, I've been blessed. A lot of these authors are more than welcome to come on to a show, man. You'd be
They
surprised some of the big level New York Times, see them on TV, and you hit them up and they be like, yeah, sure. Like, I booked those easier than some of the up and coming authors, to be
are.
honest with you. I told you that before in private. I booked
Yeah.
some of these big people like 2 minutes. Time, date, when, yes.
You know what? Because I think that it shows appreciation to them that we would even consider them for our platform. Um, and a lot of times people, they want to talk about their work, they want to share it. And, if you have a welcoming platform and a nice warm spirit, it's easy for them to come on there and do it. So I just really think they're I don't I guess flattered by, even being asked.
You know what else too? The
Mm.
the the organic genuineness of us to actually read their work. So I
Yeah.
didn't realize this until a few months ago, dealing with some authors in private. They go into the Breakfast Club and some of these bigger platforms, right? And these folks not even reading their books.
Yeah.
So either it's a real surface level interview, and they're not really digging in there, or they might have a team that read the book and give them some notes, like, man, talk about this. But they still never read the book themselves. And as an author, you can tell somebody read your book or not.
Oh yeah,
I
I
can
would
tell
be.
real fast, but they didn't read the book.
Yeah, I think that
You can tell.
be. I think I would be very put off if that happened to me, because what are we talking about? Like, you
So you
haven't
saying
read it.
hypothetically, so you never experienced that yet? You never
Can I
had that?
can I plead the fifth?
Okay, I mean, yeah, sure.
Can I plead the fifth? I
It,
think
it,
that's
it- it's not a
right
gotcha show.
there.
We ain't trying to get nobody. I'm just
No, no, no. Yeah, but I have experienced that before, and it was a little off-putting. I
yeah,
went through with it just the same, but I really didn't like it.
mm.
I'm just like, well, why would you ask me to come if you're not going to read what we're talking about? To me, that didn't make much
I never
sense.
understood that. I'm trying to imagine interviewing Beyonce about her last album, but I never asked her to play one track on the album. We gonna discuss what? Like, I never understood how they go about even doing that. It's
Mhm.
crazy thing to me as a writer.
It
Crazy,
is. It is.
crazy.
It's surprising. It's surprising.
Yeah. So, yes, you have made your anniversary coming up, the year mark. I'm so proud about that because first of all, did
Yep.
not I did not take note of when I started my podcast. I have
Mm.
no idea how long it's been. I have no idea how many years it's been, how many guests I've had. I haven't tracked any of that. So I'm glad you did make note of that and you tracked that. Tell us, how does it feel to make that year mark, doing this thing consistently, the grind, the work? How you feel?
I feel good about it, and I feel really proud of myself. Because, like I said, it wasn't something that I intended to expand past 6 episodes. So the fact that I kept going and I kept getting better and I kept getting more guests and I kept getting more views and comments, I was like, okay, I'm really doing something here. So I feel accomplished. And I'll be honest, I wasn't really thinking that my year, like, oh, it's almost been a year, but I was just going through my YouTube channel and I saw when I published the first one, I was like, wait a minute, that was almost a year ago. So I'm like, so many times, we work, we grind, we put our head down, we never put our heads up to celebrate our small things, our small victories. So that's why I decided that I'm going to celebrate me. I'm going to celebrate the podcast. I'm going to celebrate the platform and everyone who has been there. And I guess I'm already plugging it. It will be a
Do
live
it.
podcast. Live podcast. Everyone is invited. Sunday, November 10th, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You can go to my site, RSVP. Everyone who I've had on the podcast is invited back to come. I can't really say who has agreed, who's going to be able to make it just yet, but I'm just saying don't miss it. So yeah,
It's a party. It's a party. It's a party.
it's going to
It's a party.
be. We
Man,
going.
that's hot, man. That's hot.
Yeah.
My sister in the building, Dr. Ashley Wade, um, and in our book we did together this past few months, she has a whole chapter in there about the importance of celebrating your victories,
Mm.
celebrating your wins, and you're right. Some of us, we grind so hard, put our head down for so long, we never celebrate even a small victory. So that's important to press forward and stay motivated and stay energized, man. You gotta, pat yourself on the back
I
because doing this kind of thing could be very, very much like yeah, very small moments of gratification. You better
Yeah.
get a pat on the back, a way to go, a attaboy. Far and in between, you got to celebrate.
Yeah, and I think that goes a long way for your morale and keep pushing forward as well. And it doesn't have to be a big celebration or a big to do. Even just putting something out there and saying, hey, such and such, this is a year, or this is the anniversary of, just something as small as that can, really help boost your morale and keep you pushing forward. So I just decided to be extra. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do.
So tell me about who was a dream guest you would love to have. I think we all have a dream list. Who was on
Oh,
your dream guest? Like you would get nervous, you would have anxiety, like, oh my God, tomorrow's the show. Who was that person?
um, I don't know. Should I say names? I don't. Should I say names?
Why wouldn't you say names?
I don't
Is it bad?
know.
Is it
No,
bad?
it's not bad at all.
Well, well,
You know who I would really love to have?
tell me. So I can
Kennedy
tag him.
Ryan.
So I can
Kennedy
tag him.
Ryan.
Kennedy Ryan. Okay, we go tag Sister Kennedy on this reel.
I would love to have Kennedy Ryan. I did have an opportunity to meet her earlier this year at a book signing at Barnes and Noble in Charlotte. She was lovely. There were so many people there. It was so many people there, but she was just really lovely. And you could just feel her kindness like radiating from her. So, but I know she's a very busy author. I know she's a very busy woman. She has a lot going on. But
Mhm.
I think that one would make me be, I think that would make me nervous.
You know what's crazy about what you just said?
What's that?
One of my friends just met her days ago at this huge event they had.
Uh
And in
huh.
the inbox, she said the same thing. She was like, Sean, I just couldn't stop staring at her. And she was just like radiating,
Yes,
glowing.
she is.
So you're saying the same thing. That's interesting. That says a lot. That says a
Yeah.
lot. So now we clip this up. Shout out Kennedy Ryan. You're doing your thing, my sister.
Oh, well, we'll see what happens. We'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah. I love going into the process. It's a very process-driven show. Can you give the audience an inside glimpse of, okay, you got a guest, you booked them, now as you know, you're leading up to the show. What's that process like from booking them until you actually like putting it out there? It's coming up Friday, y'all, Friday morning. And what's that process in between? If you can give an overall.
Like an overview. So once they agree to yes, you you was a part of the process. So once somebody agrees, no, you were part of the process when you agreed or when a guest agrees, I get their information and I email them and ask them for certain information that I'll need. Their bio is important. I need that because I compose, that's like my base of how I compose my questions. That bio gives me a lot of information to make sure I'm curating the questions the way I want to as far as background for the guest. So I also ask the guest, which book do you want to highlight? Now I could very well say, hey, I want to talk about this book, but that may not be the project that they want to highlight or push. So I ask them, which project do you want to highlight? Once they give me that, I go ahead and I read it. I read it, I take notes. So I'm able to speak to the book and ask questions for the podcast. And the way I compose my podcast is the first part, I do a Q&A for the background of the author or the person who's there, not necessarily an author, but I do the background and then I go into their project that they want to highlight. And then at the very end, as you know, I do a game. So that's pretty much the process. I can get that done. I can get that done in a week because I don't like to rush. I don't really want to push it to any shorter time than a week. I want to have time to make sure I'm doing it correctly, the way that I need it to be done. So that's the process.
Yeah, and so you're saying that, of course, condensed for the audience for this show,
Uh-huh.
but can you go into a little bit of even like post production, right? Because I talked to you in private about
Oh,
like this show, you pretty much seeing what you get. Anybody watching it right now, this is what it's gonna be. But like, you got the bells, the whistles, the intro music, the
yeah.
transitions, and the lights, and the smoke, and the
This
pyrotechnics. Like, you got the whole
Yeah,
nine.
but
So
it didn't start off that way. When I did my first podcast, I did it with, the live audience. We were on Zoom and I still use Zoom. So whatever was there is just what I posted. I just put, an intro in the beginning. As the podcast grew, um and I just wanted to like, oh, maybe I should have a little intro here. That would be nice. Or maybe I could put this on the background. That would be nice. So the more ideas I had, really started to create a monster, unfortunately, because the more I know, the more I want to do. So my post production, like for let's say a podcast that the end recording time is like maybe an hour and a half, it could take me, I say I can get it edited in 2 days. Not, well, a few hours a day. I'll just say 2 days. And with that, you know, I hate to really cut out stuff, but sometimes things need, in my opinion, need to be cut. But I haven't had a situation where the guests saw it and they weren't happy with the edits that I made. I just be try to be really mindful of what I keep in and what I take out. And you know, and I let the guests know also it's pre-recorded. You need to take a break, you need to have a drink, you know, let me know. So of course
Okay,
those things would have to be edited as well.
let's do it. So of course this is a live show. Obviously, if I fall down right now, you gonna see it's what it is.
Yep.
Doing your show, it
Uh-huh.
was so dope. At points we was talking, doing our thing, and
Uh-huh.
you was like, "All right, we're gonna take a 5 minute break. You go get something to drink. You'll come back. We just talking. We just kicking it. You like, you ready? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. Boom, we're going
Yeah.
right back. Like that was so dope. I'm like, man, because this show, I've never done a. I did like one recorded show, but it wasn't even like that. So the way you had it paced, that was just so. Again, for anybody watching this, I had such a great time being a guest on her platform. Not just saying it because she's here.
Thank
I've
you.
been bragging about it for weeks ever since the show.
Yeah.
You have a very smooth operation.
Thank you. Well, you know, my goal is to make the guest feel comfortable, to ease whatever anxiety that they may have, to make them feel like you don't have to be on. If you need to take a break, go ahead. There's been times where I will ask a question and the person will say, I didn't like my answer. Can I redo it? And I'm like, sure, go ahead. And, you know, that helps with their comfortability and their confidence as well, to know that they are putting forth what they want to put forth. So I
Yeah.
make it really easy in a way that I think that I would like on the other side if it was a pre-recorded situation. So I really want them to feel, you all, the guests, to feel welcome, that, you know, that I'm being genuine, that I'm interested in what they're saying. You know, I just want to have like a really good, warm environment and just provide comfort.
Let's do a little pivot transition to your writing side, right? So you mentioned loving writing since like 7 years old. 7 years old. So
Hmm.
if you can go back to your early child mind, if it's even possible, like what even made you have a urge to want to start writing and making stories and creating? What was that early spark for you?
The early spark, I'm gonna have to shout out my mom, and she's watching. Can you give a shout out to my mom, Sean P?
Yes, yes. Shout out. I love the mothers. My mom watching always as well. Gotta love the mothers. Respect all the mothers. Shout out. Shout out. Congratulations on your wonderful daughter.
Oh, that's nice. And I think my sis, I think my sister's watching as well. So
Okay.
shout out
All
to
right. All
Layla.
right. Who's in
Um,
the building?
yeah, it's family in the building. So let me say that my mom has played music since inception, right? Um, so like I remember way back when, even before I could write, well, not before I could write, but way back when I used to read lyrics on the back of records, like all the time. Lyrics on the back of records.
Bruh,
So
come
that
on. Come on.
interested me
Mm-hmm.
in, you know, the writing process, like these words rhyming what the words mean, even though I didn't really know what they meant, but I knew it sounded good. Moving on from that, one of the authors that I really loved was Dr. Seuss. I love Dr. Seuss, the what, like just the rhyming scheme, how it was just, it wasn't like a regular A B A B A B. It was like the way that Dr. Seuss wrote books was very entertaining to me. So I think that's what really sparked my interest in kind of like writing, creative writing and poetry, but I would say music for sure music with my mother was probably what sparked it for real.
I'm glad you said that. So yesterday, you saw the show, I believe. I had a hip hop scholar on my show. We were breaking down hip hop and the old versus the new. What do you think is lost? Now we're in the digital age, and you're right. We did read the lyrics on the back of or the inside jacket of a CD or something like that. We did go in the book and look at the producers, the writers, the executives. You seeing all that stuff, the writing credits and all of that.
Yeah.
What
What
do
got
you think is lost
lost?
with that?
All of that. All of that that you just mentioned. All of that you just mentioned, because now people put out songs. Yeah, there's albums, but you really hear songs. Back when early 90s, whatever, when an artist had a project come out, we went and got that album. You know what I mean? It wasn't just, oh, let's just go get the single. We listened to the album. So I feel like what's lost today in the music is that we don't really appreciate a full body of work from an artist anymore. And I think a lot of artists, I guess newer artists, are so focused on popping out singles, because just the landscape of how we consume music is so different now, because it's like literally you could listen to it for a week and and people are tired of it. You know what I mean? They want the next thing. It's just like a now environment, where
So
everybody wants something now.
let me give you a freestyle question. Was you saying that about consumption, right? Because in the book landscape, I compare the book world and the music world all the time. For 10 years, I've been doing the parallel to both of those games. And now we got more audio books, and we have the digital downloads, and other kind of ways versus our parents in them generation, right? How you think that's going to change the writing landscape with our consumption now when it comes to literature?
I think that is already changing, in regards to um, literary, like AI intelligence. People use AI to write whole books now. People use AI to narrate whole books now. So I think that is already changing, and I don't think it's for the better. So I'm a little afraid of where that will continue to go in the future. So that's why I feel that it's important, if you are in the community or you're a supporter of the community, support these authors, support these narrators, because that type of technology is not a good thing for this community, in my opinion.
Because again, going to the inside jacket, inside cover of a project, every name you're seeing, every of course we're self-published kind of people. We're doing
Mhm.
a lot of hack. People don't realize that one book, it's like probably like 6, 7 jobs within a
Mhm.
project. All these names from the editor and then the agent and then this person and that person, all these things. Even if, I said the word agent just now, even on the legal side, we see it in hip hop and in sports. Some of these people have the AI doing their contracts and whatnot, going over the contract. So even those folks getting cut out, the literary scene, you
Yeah,
see it.
it's just like the human connection is being cut out. That's what it is. It's being cut out of the literary space, and I don't like it. I don't support AI narration. I'll never support AI narration. And it's unfortunate that that's happening. I mean, not all technology is good technology.
Right, right. So tell me at what point, 'cause we all have our initial interests. I mentioned martial arts on your show and
Uh-huh.
basketball and stuff like that. At what point does writing become like serious? Like it's not just cute. It's not just a little hobby. It's cute. When it become like, you know what, this is a thing. I'm going in all the time. When was that turn?
I would say when I decided to self-publish my first book back in 2021, August 2021, I did it because I was inspired by other authors in the Black romance space. I'm reading their books, I'm listening to their audio books, and I know that I have a talent of storytelling and writing. And it's something I always kind of wanted to do, but didn't know how to do it. But when I saw all these people that look like me telling stories that I enjoyed and that I wanted to tell, I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and give it a try. So that's when it became serious in August 2021. Um, and it's been a learning experience ever since because I did not know what I was doing. I had
No,
no idea.
I don't think any of us did. Like I asked you before on your live about like what do you gain from doing these kind of shows? And I was saying how for me, besides the on camera stuff, is the rapport I gain with these authors after the show. And they're telling me behind the scenes stuff, you know, as far as book tours and you dealing with publishers and legality and all kind of things happening that the average writer never even think about when they want to
Mhm.
write. There's so many
Mhm.
more things to know
That
coming into
is
this game. So I think all of us feel like that same emotion, like, man, I got no idea what I was getting myself into.
right. Right. It was so much that went with hitting that publish button that I couldn't have imagined. And I'm fortunate that, I was, well, not fortunate. I think I was smart enough to take my time with learning. It's not as if I had like this big launch or I spent like a whole bunch of money with, book design and all this, that, and the other. I was smart enough to take my time and like, okay, well, let me kind of piece together what needs to happen. So some of the authors that I really enjoyed, I was reaching out to them and asking them for help. And thankfully, they were giving me names of like editors and things like that because I'm like, I really don't know what to do. And I was a little frustrated in the beginning because I'm like, no one's going to read this book. No one's buying the book. I didn't know what was going on, but I just had to learn to be patient. I had to learn how to market myself, market the book, make connections. Because, you know, before I started my podcast, I really didn't show my face online. It's like I would just post quotes or something. I really didn't do that. I like to stay to myself. Um I don't I just that's just how I am. So I realized that in order for me to actually sell a book, people have to know who I am. I can't just say, here's a book, and you don't know anything about me or you don't hear me talking about it. People want to be able to connect with you and see you and be able to ask questions. So it was a learning process. And I feel like I'll always have something new to learn. But where I'm at now in my journey, I feel comfortable with what I know.
Well, give any budding writer a little bit more of that marketing promotional side of it, right? Because you said something important right there, right? Um, Whenever I have had some declines on the invite, it is because the author might be more like not really like being on camera. They really like introvert maybe. Because some of this writing is it's a very solo endeavor. You're probably writing, but for me, I'm writing at 2 and 3 in the morning by myself,
Hmm.
isolated. But then the book come out, you gotta do book tours. You gotta go and do the meet and greet. You gotta go do vending at these big venues and deal with hundreds of people. So it's like if you're not really a social person, it could be tough as far as marketing.
It is tough. And I don't really think I don't really think I'm that social of a person. I really don't. I know I'm friendly, but as far as, well, all has changed with the podcast because reaching out to people is not something that I really would have done before. Connecting with people, asking people for help or asking their advice. I had to learn how to do that because I told myself if I wanted my book to be successful, by my definition of successful, I was going to have to get some help and I was going to have to do some work. Because if it doesn't make sense for me to spend all this time writing 80, 90K words, and then, I'm just sitting with it by myself because I don't want to tell anybody it's there. So it's just like I had to look at it from the whole picture. What do I really want to do this? Because if I want to do this, then I got to do that. So I still feel like I give myself in bits and pieces, but it's all with what I'm comfortable with. But I will say that I am becoming more comfortable with being social with people because, like I said, I've just kind of always been to myself.
I asked you earlier about your dream guests, your dream list. I think most of the people on my personal list, I will never ever get them because they don't like the camera. So they will probably never be a guest on the show because they're wonderful, amazing people, great work, brilliant. They just
Hmm.
don't like doing this.
I have had people who I've had guests that didn't want to be on camera, and I told them you don't have to be on camera. And I just did it. That's what they're comfortable with. But I know your platform is different as far as the live aspect of it. But for me, like I've had, yeah, it's like I don't want to be on camera. I'm like, okay, you don't have to be on camera. We could just have the interview that way. And it worked out lovely. So I'll be honest, I didn't know how it was going to work out because, really what I was doing is I'm looking at a picture of, looking at that box of the picture of the person. And it was challenging because I couldn't gauge, I look at facial expressions and I couldn't gauge where they were. So it was difficult. But if someone is that uncomfortable, I would do it again, but, yeah, I just kinda meet people where they are.
So you mentioned music earlier, and I'm so glad you naturally did that because I
Uh-huh,
noticed watching your page,
uh-huh.
going through your page. First of all, you have an A1 musical selection. Oh my God!
Oh.
If
Oh,
I have
thank
a party, if I have a party, you can be my DJ. I love your musical selection. So I want to ask you, when it comes to the writing process, how much is music vital whenever you're actually writing? And is it different when you're doing poetry versus novels, or does it not really matter? Or the pocket you're writing in?
you. How much am I influenced by music when I'm writing? Huh. Well, I would say that music plays, I would say 80% in what I write. 80%. Because depending on what I'm writing, I like to listen to songs to help me get in that mindset. If it's like a heartbreak, or if it's a falling in love, or if it's a first meeting, or oh boy, you so fine, stuff like that. I like to listen to music that helps generate some of those ideas. So music does help, I would say 80% of the time. When it comes to poetry, I have to have quiet. I cannot write. I can't. Music doesn't inspire that. I don't know why.
Give me.
It doesn't.
You don't know. Okay, I'm about to say. Okay, you don't know why.
I don't know
Okay.
why. But yeah, but writing a story, yeah, music for sure.
When you mention some of the influences you had to start your writing journey, could you go before 2021? Who are some of the people you would like sit and just read, and whenever their book come out, you got to go and get it? It's an auto by author. Who are some of those people for you that really, really
Uh,
just
I would
just
say
do it for you?
that would be Alexandria House for sure. I have not had her on the show yet, but I'm coming for her. Kennedy Ryan for sure. Christina C. Jones was another one. Um, oh, I'm trying to think. Because there are a lot. The names escape me. I'm trying to think. Kennedy Ryan, Christina C. Jones. I like Joan Vassar a lot. Y'all need to get into Joan Vassar. You know Joan, okay, you got to get into that. And Monique, she was actually just on my show recently. I was devouring her books at one point. That's all I could really think of right now. But just a lot of Black women in a romance genre. I was devouring books at one point. I just the world opened up to me, and almost everything that was recommended I was just reading. Oh, Tay Monet is another one. Robbie Renee, she's another one. But yeah.
So you mentioned the black women in this space. I want to ask you a question to go along with that. How important do you think it is for black men to read these stories and take part in these stories? Because I told you on your show, I probably spent my first 10 years as a reader reading stuff like this.
Mm,
I just started off reading Malcolm X and Frederick Douglass and Maya Angelou and Tony. I just started off with that. I started off in good 10 years in this lane over here. So how
mm.
important is it for the guys to read these works
Read
and get
it.
into this work?
Um, I think that if men want to know what women are really thinking, they should read it. They should read books in the romance genre, because really and truly, women are laying out the blueprint on what they like, what they do not like, what they appreciate, what they do not appreciate. And, of course, it's embellished because it's fictional, but, those, it's core ideas in all of them of how women want to be treated. So I feel like it's important for a man to read it if they want to get a little bit more into our psyche of, what we may be thinking, and also knowing what the woman is consuming, because you don't want to look, you know your woman looking at you like, why aren't you buying me a Bentley? You know what I mean? You don't even know what she thinks. You don't even know what she's talking about. You know what I'm saying? Crazy stuff like that. But just kind of get into her mindset and seeing, what is she consuming, and asking her, like, is that what just, is that the type of stuff you like? Or, is this, just that type of thing. But
So till we ask them about their tropes, you like their
yeah,
friends to end that the enemies to friends and friends to lovers and
I
the
mean, I think
forced proximity.
ask them, because it gives you a good idea of what your woman or your companion really likes, things that you may not know. So I think in that respect, it could be something that a man should read in that respect.
Let's transition and pivot to your book, the main event,
The main
180.
event.
The main event. Your next decision can turn your life around 180. First and foremost, tell me about this. This book was published on Valentine's Day, by the way,
Oh,
February 2023. This is a Valentine release. Was that on purpose?
it
Was that planned?
probably was. It
Okay.
probably.
Okay. Right now, currently, you have 29 amazing reviews. You averaging a 4.6 out of 5. 4.6 is
Okay.
hot, smoking.
Okay.
And to the audience that don't know, to get 29 reviews is very difficult. Some of your favorite authors, go look at their page. They might have 5 reviews, they might have 10 reviews. You'd be surprised. To get 29 is tough. So congratulations on that victory.
Thank you. Thank
Um, Take us back to the mindset when you said, you know what, I'm gonna write this. What was that? What was the spark?
I
What
didn't
was
say that I was going to write this. This happened by accident. Let me tell you how this happened.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. How do you accidentally write a book? This is the first on the Sean P experience. Y'all just heard it. He accidentally slipped and tripped and wrote a book, y'all. Let's hear what this is about. Give it to me.
That was so funny how you said
No, you said it.
how you repeated it, how you accidentally write a book. Okay, so let me tell you how this happened by accident. What had happened was, Sean P, what had happened was I had a lot of work in progresses. WIPs is what they're called in the author world. I had a lot of them. And I was not finishing any of them. So I said to myself, I looked at them one day and I said, what if I just take like my favorites and turn them into short stories instead of trying to extend them into a full length? So that is what happened. I didn't intend to say, okay, I'm going to take this, take this, take that, and I'm going to put it all into one book. It's just, I wanted to actually finish these stories in a way, or at least have them start in a way that I could be inspired to finish them, because I
So
didn't
this is a
leave
we
them
call it a
sitting.
smorgasbord. This is a
Yeah,
somebody's
yeah,
grandmother in the refrigerator. Like, I'm gonna get some of this leftovers and some of this leftovers and put it with this, and we're gonna
yeah.
make.
So once I started finishing them off into smaller parts, I'm like, huh, well, maybe I can just put them in a book together and just put it out there and see how it's received. So no, I did not set out to do this. But that's just how it ended up. So I've had people ask me to finish the stories. But depending on how you look at the stories, they are finished. If you depend on how you look at them.
It's like a soap opera, and something dramatic happens, and then it just goes off. You be like,
No, but
what?
if you no, I don't
Like
look at
a
it. I guess
cliffhanger. I
you
mean, like
can
a
look at it
cliffhanger,
that way.
like a cliffhanger.
It
What I'm trying to say.
I you can look at it that way. I don't really think they're cliffhangers. I think that it just ends the way it ends. Like, you could just
Okay, okay,
take it how it is. But I could see how
gotcha.
it can be a cliffhanger, but you
Yeah,
could just take it how it is, and that's just the
true.
story.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. So tell me, why the title 180? Why the title 180?
Because once you read the stories, you understand that these five couples um are faced are put in situations where they need to make a decision on whether or not they're going to go straight ahead with their situation, or if they're going to flip and do a 180 and go the other way. So that's why I called it 180. In each story, something's happening. Something's happening.
Yeah, something always happens. So let me
Hmm.
ask you this. When it comes to your characters, your five characters, are you the kind of author that have like a character profile and you got a backstory to your characters and you got all this thing written down on a whiteboard or something? Or do you just, how you go about your character development? Even
For
beyond
this,
this book.
beyond this book, um, I'll have in my head who I want the character to be for sure. Do I have whiteboards and notes and, just stuff all around me to have that? No, I don't. I'll just have in my mind who I want this character to be, what I want their background to be, and what obstacle I want them to get through. I probably should write it down, but my mind doesn't really work like that. I'm not the type of person who can outline creative stories. I just have to write it. Um, but that's how I mean, I just have it in my mind already. So no, I don't out but you know what? I do have like a court board of things I want to complete, like stories I want to complete, but I don't have character profiles and stuff like that up.
And you say you don't outline either. You're not really an outliner.
No,
You
I
just write.
don't outline. I've tried
Okay.
to outline. In the
Yeah.
creative space, I can't. Like, if I'm writing, like if I'm in school and I'm writing a 20-page essay, I can outline that easy. But in the creative space, it's just I've tried it many times. It hasn't worked out.
This is very good for all the writers that's watching the show that feel like maybe they're not outlining and they feel guilty about not outlining. But we seeing through all of these authors, there is no one way. There is no right way, quote unquote. Like, everybody find their own pocket of how they get it done. You're a multi-published author, so clearly it's working. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
doing something. You have to meet yourself where you are,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't
Mm-hmm.
compare your process to anyone else's. You can't compare your growth to anyone else's. You have to be content in where you are and grow
Mm-hmm.
where you are and take things step by step
Right.
as you grow. Because
Mm-hmm.
once you start looking to the left and the right and seeing what everyone else is doing, you will start to feel disappointed. Like, why can't I have 100 reviews on the first day, or why can't I sell, so appreciate where you are. In my opinion, is appreciate where you are in the process, and grow that way. It's a step by step process.
I totally agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. I noticed a lot of these stories in the book. take place downtown Houston
Yes.
at a specific hotel.
Yes.
What is the reason behind some of these exact locations? And give us the importance of the Houston skyline because you mentioned it more than once, I noticed. So downtown Houston, skyline.
Okay, let me say this. I've never been to Houston.
Wow. Okay. See, this is good. Okay,
I've
keep
never been
going.
to Houston, but the importance of everything taking part in Houston on the same day, mostly in the same hotel, is one story that doesn't take part in the hotel. No, it's two of them that don't take part in the hotel. But the point of that was that on the same day in the same space, we are faced with different obstacles. You never know what one person is going through that could even be in the room next to you. So at these same exact locations and times, this is what's going on in everyone's life. So it's like a glimpse of, like, multiple things at one time. In the Houston skyline, I just thought it would be a nice backdrop for the characters to kind of, look out into and kind of reflect on. So that's why I circled back to that a few times.
I had to ask because when I interviewed Dr. Ian Smith, his book is in Chicago. He refers to the Chicago skyline a lot.
Mm.
I had somebody else, and he did an interview about the actual the Brooklyn Bridge in New York. But to
Oh,
him, the bridge meant something significant. He wanted to have the bridge in the background while he was talking. So I noticed that certain people, the skyline is important to this. I said, you know what, man, this Houston skyline thing, I gotta ask about that.
no, I did not. I've never been to Houston. And the picture on the book is allegedly the Houston skyline.
What did Norian say? Did Norian see it? I know Norian's out there.
I don't think he's read this
Okay,
title.
okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's read the
We gotta
title.
holler at Norian about that skyline.
Yeah, I see what he say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So these things take place on May the 8th. May 8th. Is that a significant date, like in
Um,
real life, or that's just totally
that was just random. I did
Mhm.
want it to be during a time where it wasn't too hot, wasn't too cold.
Okay.
So I just kind of felt like that would be a good starting point. So if I did continue it, I can have it like later on in the year.
Mhm.
So I just kind of wanted it to be like a start of something.
Mhm.
So I put
Mhm.
it at the beginning,
Wow.
towards the
Mhm.
beginning.
I love the thinking ahead. I love the thinking ahead. Yeah, yeah. So tell me, what was the inspiration behind these five stories? Like, what's your cannon fodder? What's your spark to these stories?
What was my inspiration? Really just being creative. I didn't nothing really happened. Like I said, they were works in progresses. So they were all written at different started at different times. I finished them all around the same time, but I started them at different times where I had like one idea for this character, the character for Jackson, the story for Jackson. I had that story in my head for the longest time. Now, if there were any story that I would turn into full length, I think it would be Jackson's story because I have a whole story. I have like 30K words written for that story.
Are you
Um,
serious?
yes, because I
Well,
felt
I
like
gotta
that
see
would
it.
be I
I
felt
gotta
like
see
that would be like the first one that I would do. But the inspiration
it.
just came from wherever. It was just in my brain, nothing in particular.
So the story is called Regret. What's up? What's up?
The comment.
Oh, and thank you very, very much, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thanks for coming to the show. I appreciate you, and I'm appreciating your daughter right now. So the story, Regret. This is
Uh-huh.
Mr. Jackson, right? So
Mhm.
Jackson, and the sister name is Cheyenne.
Cheyenne. Mhm.
Cheyenne, right? So they're ex-lovers. It's been an
Mhm.
8-year gap in
No, no, no.
between this. Figure.
No.
What's that?
Regret. Cheyenne and Jackson. There's no age gap with them.
No,
That
no, no,
is
no, no. Not 8. I said it's been 8 years.
Oh, I thought you said 8 years. Okay, I thought you said
Yeah,
8 years
8 years
back.
between the situation
Oh,
that took place.
sorry, I
Yeah,
misheard you. Yes.
nah, it's all yeah, it's all good. Um, so for the audience watching this thing, right? They're in the setting in the hotel once again. Four Seasons, 20th floor, downtown Houston, May the 8th, right? And they're finally meeting again, and they're going to discuss what happened the last time, if you will.
Mhm,
And Jackson is insisting he caught her with somebody else.
mhm,
I know what I saw.
mhm.
Don't try to lie to me.
Uh-huh.
My eyes saw it,
Yep,
but maybe you didn't.
right.
Tell us about why you put it like that. Your lying eye.
Why did I put it like that? Because I wanted to show that communication can
Yeah.
kill
Yes. Yes.
situation just that easily. That's why I put it that way. A simple conversation would have eliminated all of that. Or even a confrontation would have eliminated all of that. So that was the whole thing with
So
their situation.
this is a lesson on having the hard conversations, right? The uncomfortable conversations we don't want to have. Because he's swearing, I saw you in that hoodie. I know what the hoodie looked like. I know
Mhm.
what I saw. And of
Mhm.
course, she's defending herself, but the more you defend yourself, it just sounds more like a lie. It sounds more
Right.
guilty. So I
Right.
was enjoying the dialogue. Think about how difficult, well, maybe if you was easy, speak about writing dialogue. That can be
Mm.
very tricky, I find, as a writer. Their dialogue was awesome and the intensity, and you felt all of that.
Thank you. Actually, writing dialogue when there's conflict involved is my favorite thing to do. So I
Wait a
quite
minute, your
enjoy.
favorite?
Yes, I quite
Wow.
enjoy writing conflict and dialogue. I like making things messy and pulling the characters through it. That's my favorite thing to do. I like high drama, high emotion things. I like writing things like that. Because I feel like, those are like that's the arc of the scene. So I want it to be really good. And when you listen to the audio, I felt like the narrator for that story, Leon Nixon, I felt like he did a great job conveying everything. Um, yeah, so those scenes are easy for me to write.
And actually, in my book, in my notes, at the bottom of the page, I put "oh." I said "oh." They were just starting to get into it, and he
Uh-huh.
was like, "You was wearing the hoodie I gave you, the black and green with the eagle on the back." He started
Uh-huh.
going into details with it. I was like, "Oh, she done. She done. She cooked. It's over." He
Right.
going into detail about what he saw,
Right.
but it wasn't what he saw.
Right.
That was an interesting turn, and we can all know from our life experiences how easy that situation was to happen. Very easily could happen.
Yep.
And he was so, I would say, devastated, hurt, or he felt played. He
Yep.
couldn't even confront her about it. He just pretty much left her alone
Yep.
altogether, just threw it
Yep.
away, basically.
Yep.
And so she felt like, why you didn't fight for me? You threw it away so easily.
Yep.
Did it ever mean something?
So Jackson does have a backstory. He does have a backstory on
Okay, here we go. Here we
why
go.
he walked away like that.
Here we
I
go.
I could tell you offline, but he has a backstory as to why he walked away the way he did. But it was the communication piece that I felt like I wanted to be prevalent in that story. You can't just walk away. I mean, you can, but look what can happen. It didn't have to happen. So they lost 8 years of
So,
their lives.
so she is his wedding planner
Yep.
for his coming up wedding
Yep.
with his brand new about to be wife.
Yep.
And this big reveal happens, and they're so close to each other, and the familiarity.
Oh, Sean, oh, Sean, oh, Sean. I need to tell you what's going I could tell you what's going to happen with them because I really feel like in my heart I'm going to finish that story, but I already have written like all of that. I don't know if you want me to tell you. not here for people who haven't read it.
Right,
But
right, right, right.
what happens with the fiance? Do they end up back together? What happens? What
Yeah,
happens?
what happened?
I
Hey,
can
you
tell you
see,
offline. I can tell you offline.
why I said this is why I said like a cliffhanger because it's like what happened.
That that one
That's
for
why I
sure
said that.
can be a cliffhanger. And I say that because I already know what I want to happen with them.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Mm.
Because I was gonna say this is the Sean P experience. Give it to me. Give us that exclusive. But yes, offline we can talk offline
Yeah, I could give it to you
about where
offline.
that goes. But out of the five stories, that was my absolute favorite story. I love the intensity. I love the moments. And like I was telling you earlier, most of our audience here probably around the same age, roughly. If I
Mhm.
would have read some of these stories 15, 20 years ago, uh, of course, logically, I can get it. But like you have to go through certain things in real life to really hit these stories and really hit your heart. Like, man, I could imagine that.
Yep.
I've heard something similar. I've experienced something similar. These stories really, really resonate in the
Right.
major way. Um,
Glad.
what you
I
gonna
said
say?
I said I'm
Oh,
glad.
oh, okay, yeah, 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 sure, sure, sure. So next, I want to discuss this story. Story number two, the Mirage.
The
My brother
Mirage.
Isaiah,
Ooh,
Isaiah, Isaiah,
menace. He's a menace.
Isaiah, man.
He's a
Come on,
menace.
bro. Come on, bro. So I was
Young.
playing the audio to this. I'll play the audio first.
Uh-huh.
I'm in Walmart checking out, of course, self check. And I get to the end of the story when I'm checking out. I'm like, I know for a fact people at Walmart looking at me probably like, it's like 6 in the morning. I'm getting off of work, you know. I'm in Walmart just checking my stuff out, like, how you gonna do
I
something like?
love that story. I
Okay, so
love that story.
let's try to set the table a little bit. You got
Mhm.
Isaiah and his sister, London. Again, Four Seasons, downtown Houston. They on the fifth floor. They on
They
the
on
fifth
a
floor.
fifth flow.
They're on the fifth floor, right? Of course, it's May the 8th, right? So they've been chilling together for a minute. They haven't crossed that intimacy line yet. Now we're in the Four Seasons. It's getting ready for the moment of truth, all that great stuff. From the way it sounds, both of them are very, like I want to say, attractive people.
Mhm.
They probably can get whoever they want, but they
Mhm.
choose each other. But so it seems it's a mirage, right?
Mhm.
So they finally come to the moment of truth. You did a great job of writing the scene.
Thank
uh,
you.
uh, uh, Isaiah was very tender, in my opinion. He was attentive, he was tender, he was gentle, all
Mhm.
those beautiful, sweet words.
Uh-huh.
But Isaiah was messing with her sister, man. Come on, Isaiah. Now tell me why. You tell me why. You tell me
Tell
why.
you why.
You
Because
tell
he
me
was
why.
a mirage. He was a mirage. All of that is a mirage. And
But
I
sis,
wrote that one. I wrote it that way for any young girl, young woman out there who may think that someone is one way. You don't really know how they are. You really don't know. So that's why I wrote it that way. For you to just kind of open your eyes to say, just because this person is presenting themselves this way to you does not mean that this is how they really are. Now, just in that small portion of the story, would London have a way to know that he was like that? No, just based on what you read, she wouldn't have a clue. But it's just like I still wanted to bring the point for you to be careful of who you are being with. You know what I mean? Be careful because just like that, you can't get stuff back, man.
so for
Matt
the audience, for
is
the
Matt.
audience, Isaiah has already previously been messing with her sister, whose name is Asia, by the way. Now I
Uh-huh.
noticed something. Her name is London. The phone thing happened, right? She got a
Mhm.
phone call.
Yep.
She said her sister on the phone. Her sister on the phone talking. She said, which one? She got Paris and Asia.
Paris, Asia, and London.
Is
Yeah.
that tell me what's up with that? That little play you did right there. What was up with that?
I wanted their names to have a theme. because I hinted in the story very lightly that their fathers, like they're the father, the apple of their father's eye. And, it's probably something that he wanted to name them. So he wanted them to all have a theme of closeness and,
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. So that's why I came up with
It
that. So,
sounded, it sounded, well, he sounded pretty, I want to say established, the kind of
uh,
well-to-do kind of, so I think he might have traveled a lot, that's what I
right.
was thinking,
Yeah,
when I
you on the
read it.
right path with that. In my brain, the father named them, not the mother.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, that's good. That's good. But yeah, that story really, really had me revved up. Like you said, it's short, it's sweet, it packed the punch though. And when the shoe dropped from the other foot, as they say, I was just, but
Yeah.
as a writer, you want to elicit emotion.
Yes,
And you
for
definitely
sure.
got the appropriate response out of me when I read that part. I was like, what kind of
Yeah.
animal are you? Sister?
Yeah. Young
Sister,
and
girl?
dumb. Young and dumb. And shout out to Winston James for that narration. I think he did an awesome job. But yeah, young and dumb.
So when it comes to the creation of the Isaiah character, for an example, you gave some of the background on Jackson. What's some of your thoughts when it came to creating the Isaiah
Um,
prototype? What was that like?
I just wanted to create a I wanted to create a person that wasn't who they seemed to be. I wanted their I- I'm trying to think of a way to put this. I wanted Isaiah to have all the packaging but not be a good person because that's real life. That's real life. So I was thinking when someone is like the way Isaiah is, behaves the way he does, that doesn't start when you're 30. That starts when you're young. That type of behavior starts when you're young. So that's why I wanted to bring them like pretty much out of high school age to where he's already exhibiting these behaviors. So that was my thought process. Like this is, and it even starts before that if I'm being honest, but it's just like that was my thought process
'Cause
behind Isaiah.
even earlier on the first page of that story, he mentioned how his homeboys would have had their girls anywhere. Pretty
Mhm.
much implying that the whole circle of them are already very active. They already doing what they're doing. So you around a whole, I would say, a group of people like this.
Right. Um, that's why he's a mirage. That's why he is a mirage. He wanted, to make it seem like he wasn't like his friends. He wasn't going to do her the way his friends would do her. I'm in the four seasons. Like, I'm going to treat you well. I'm going to treat you right. We don't have to if you don't want to. It's all up to you. You know what I mean? A mirage, a lie. But that type of behavior is real. And I just put that out there as a cautionary tale. I call Isaiah a menace. He's a menace. And I will say this I, Isaiah is not based on any personal experience I had, but, I've seen enough to know that this is what happens.
And the last one I'm gonna touch on for today, I want the
Uh-huh.
audience to go out there and get the book. And yes, it is available. Also, she's saying it as we're doing it. It's also available in audio. I did enjoy both of the experiences, the audio version and the written version. So whatever you like that float your boat. I also highly advise doing both
Yeah.
simultaneously. I love the immersion reading experience personally.
Mm.
I highly advise that as well. Um, the one I'm going to lastly is called Timid.
Timid.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
It's,
that's everyone's favorite.
really? That's the one?
That's the one I get the most comments about.
Okay, okay,
Timid.
okay, okay. Exhibit. So is her name Kiana?
Mhm.
Kiana, right? And the brother named Mello,
Uh-huh.
like Carmelo.
Uh-huh.
Did that come from Carmelo, or that just totally
His name is Romello.
Romello? Okay,
Mhm.
okay, Romello. Got you. So we're trying to set the table. So Kiana is planning this party for her nephew.
Mhm.
Graduated from grad school. He's done well. She's on the way to being divorced.
Mhm.
Everything like that. She getting everything set up. The nephew come, the party happens, and all that. But the brother Mello has a little thing. for Kiana. And there
Yes.
is this is an age gap situation.
Yes.
Well, we call it an age gap. He's
It is.
27,
Uh-huh.
she's 36. Now, whenever I read this, I actually circled it big because it's my show. I can do what I want. My show. In my past, in my earlier life, I had some dynamics like that where I did talk to older women,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So when I read 36, I'm like, man, I'm about to be 43. 36, that's nothing. Like, but it depends on where you are at your point in your life, right? If I was in my 20s reading it, it might have seemed like that. But like at this point, it's like 36. Like, man, that's
It's a difference between being your 20s and 30s and being your 30s and 40s. There's a difference.
gotcha, gotcha,
So
gotcha.
that's where that comes from.
Yeah. So tell us about the dynamic between them because obviously the way in which it's written, they have had dinners before. They've been dealing with each other privately in the past.
Mhm.
And it's the nephew's homeboy, man. Come
What
on,
that
bro.
mean?
The
What that
nephew
mean?
homeboy?
So
Well, okay, let's do it like this. Because they're such homeboys,
mhm,
they probably been homeboys what it sound like.
mhm.
So whenever they were younger men, she probably was around them in high school with all that. Oh yeah, look mellow and yeah, whatever.
No, they're in
And now
my
you're a
brain.
grown man.
No, no, no. In my brain, she met him as a grown man. She
Gotcha.
didn't meet him when he was a a minor. To me, that type of
Gotcha.
stuff is weird. I can't. I don't want
Yeah,
to write.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But
yeah,
in my mind, she met him as a grown man with a
yeah.
career,
Gotcha.
and just coming around with her nephew. And like I mentioned in the story, he, made comments about, how attractive he thinks that she is, and she would just
Mhm.
kind of brush it off because she was married.
Yeah.
Um, but one faithful day, all that changed. All
Hmm.
that changed. And as you know in the story, I think I love that story. Oh, I love all the stories, but
Yeah.
I love that story a lot because of the way it was revealed, how they how they had a thing going on, because that was just like, "Wait a minute, he what?" You know?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
that one, that one's a fave, but I just wanted to show that there can be healing in places you don't expect. There can be someone who's for you that may not be what you think they look like, or how old they are. That doesn't have a bearing on how much they care about you or how much they want to be with you. So that was the point in that. And keeping it a secret was for her benefit because number one, she was still married, but also she was very self-conscious about that age difference. And being in your 20s and being in your 30s, that's different. Now, if he was 36 and she was 43, that's different. But when that 20, just saying that 20, it just makes a difference. So in
And
her mind,
again,
that's like a block for her.
being the guy experiencing it, whenever you're 27, I'm a grown man. That's how you feel.
Mhm.
Little boy, like, man, I'm a grown man. Like, what?
She didn't
You
say
know
that
what I
he
mean?
wasn't grown. She was just saying
No, I'm
this,
saying how some
you
folks
know.
perceive it. Yeah.
Right, right, right.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's the way, he Mello took it. Like, well, it doesn't matter that I'm not this age. What matters is how I'm treating you. So he was offended by that, but he didn't like put it on her because, he knew how she was feeling about the age difference and, the divorce. So that's exactly how he was feeling. That's why when she was like, "We can't do this," he was like, "You call the shots, whatever you want to do."
yeah.
Because in a way, it was just like, in my mind, they had had this conversation before. So
I'm
that's why
sure.
he was just like, whatever,
Yeah.
this is what you want to do, let's do it.
Hmm. Yeah.
But he knew that's not what she wanted. He
Right.
knew that, as you could tell.
Yeah. Now you can tell. I mean, you said in the Jackson story, you had other things written already.
Mhm.
Do you have anything else written for any of these other stories in this book?
I do have it some written for that one for Timid,
Okay.
but those are the only 2 I have something written for.
Okay. Okay. So I asked you for your podcast when a person comes to your show and then whenever they leave, what you want them to walk away with. And it
Mhm.
sounds like per story you're telling us, there is a cautionary tale and there is a theme and everything like that. So with this book, when a person leaves the 180, what do you want
Hmm.
them to walk away with when they leave?
Ooh, good question. What do I want them to walk away with? I want them to walk away with knowing that the decisions that they make can keep them where they are or it could turn their lives around. Simply put.
No, that's well put. That's well put. You're right. Every story in here, it is a matter of a decision.
Yes,
And a
it's
lot of
more
times
than
in life, we always look at these big glaring things that happen, but like for a lot of couples, it's more so small, minute things more than drastic things that happen that and really turns things certain directions.
yeah,
Right about that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the next pivot, I asked you about your spoken word and your poetry, and you said on your live last time, I can spit it right now. I can spit it right now.
I set myself up.
You did. You talked some real gas that
I
night.
did.
So I want to know if you will bless us in the audience with one of your pieces, please.
I will, and I'm
Okay.
prepared this time.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I
You
am
got it.
going to read it because it's been a while. It's been a while.
It's on
Um,
you.
so poetry is my first love. I have a book of poetry out that is written with a very good friend of mine name goes by the pen name Blazing Entity. We wrote that book together. It's called Audiogasmic. It is available on audio as well. And here is the poem that I wrote for the I didn't write it for the book. I wrote it in my novel and I put it in this book. One of the characters wrote it, if that makes sense. All right. So it's called Serenity. Okay. And it goes, I wish I could touch the hands of the God who made you. Let me be clear. He made me too. But when he made you, it must have been on the day he figured out that certain beauty can't be described, just experienced. He wasn't stingy or selfish or prideful when it came to your beauty. He gave without reservations, without hesitations, and now we all get to bask in his proclamations through you. I wish I could touch the hands of the God who made you, because when he made you, he made sure your beauty was more than skin deep. He made your beauty rival the morning sunrise, the perfect rainstorms, the stars among the clouds. He made your beauty quiet, but resoundingly loud. And when he made your heart, is when he became most proud. I wish I could touch the hands of the God who made you, because I just want to shake his hands. I want to thank him for designing and executing his grandest of plans through you. I want to thank him for setting you free so I could have the chance to experience you every time you're looking at me. I never want you to stop looking at me. And I wish I could touch the hands of the God who made you. Serenity.
Snaps, snaps, snaps.
Thank you.
Come on, audience, come on, audience. So tell me, if you can remember once again, it's been time. What was behind the writing of that particular piece?
Oh, I could tell you exactly that one. So my first book that I talked about that I published in 2021 is called A Love Like This, available on paperback and audio. It's called A Love Like This, and one of the characters in the book was a poet, and he's the underdog in the book. For the first date with the woman he was interested in, he took her to an open mic and he read that poem for her. Her name is Serenity. He wrote that poem for her. So when I wrote that poem, I wanted something that was very straightforward and a little bit too aggressive for a first date, because that's a lot. You taking somebody on a first date, be like, I want to shake God's hand for you. Like, what, sir? Sat down somewhere, but it's like that was my thought. I wanted it to be very aggressive and passionate on his part, so it did the job in the poem, in the book rather.
Wow. Speak on that if you can, real briefly. So you have a series of books, and the
Hmm.
last one is the audio experience with the man with the poetry. Tell
Right.
about that artistic, creative thought to do it that way to
To have
cap
a
off the
book.
series. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Again, the book has 4 parts. The character, well, I guess it's just going to be a spoiler because the gentleman in the first book, who is the poet, he does not get the girl. So he gets his own story where he is a spoken word poet. He goes to open mics, he does poetry, like that's his thing. So once I finished his book, I wanted him, I wanted the audience to be able to experience, well, what is his poetry like? Because you do get pieces of his poetry in his book, but I thought it would be nice to expand that into another part.
I am going to get every book in your series. Tell the audience, where could they find all of your work? Where could they find your work, the audio, everything? Give it to them.
You can find my paperbacks, signed paperbacks on my site, kya-montague.com. They are also available on ebook and paperback on Amazon. You can find all of my books on audio on Audible.
And tell the audience the importance of patronizing the author directly
Hmm,
versus going to other places. Because a lot of times, me and my friends talk in private. If I say, man, my book is at Target, they're going to go crazy. Oh,
right,
man, you at Target. But if I say go to
right,
www.seanp.com, they're like, oh, man, he just wrote a little book on the website. Like, they don't take it as seriously.
right.
Give them the actual reason why that's important.
Because you have to invest back into the author. When our books are on Amazon or in Walmart or at Target, they are taking such a hefty percentage of that book that really we're getting pennies on a dollar. Really and truly, when you buy it from our site, we get everything. We get 100% of the profit. So that's why it's important to buy from the author's site if they have their books available. I say always go to the author's site first before you purchase. Just make that a habit to do that because that goes a longer way than Amazon. Because really, do Amazon really need your money? You know what I'm saying? But that author who's putting in that work, marketing, posting, engaging, you know, doing everything, to bring these experiences to the audience, that is like one of the biggest thank yous you can give, in my opinion, is by going to their sites.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And now it's time for a game because on your show, first of all, in all of my years doing this and observing this, I've never
Uh-huh.
really seen a game on anybody's show. That was totally a unique touch you have on your show, and I totally love that, right? So we're
Thank
going to
you.
play a game for the first time here ever on the Sean P Experience.
For the first time ever?
Definitely the first time ever. This might be the only time. I don't know. We're going to see how it goes. We see how it goes.
Okay.
So we're going to play a game of this or that. This
Okay.
or that, the Sean P edition. Here we go.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a this or a that, and give you a little Q&A after that, right? So
Okay.
you have books in multiple format. So for your this or that, you prefer audio or paperback?
Audio.
Why?
Because I can do multiple things while I'm listening to audio. What paperback,
Mm,
I have to sat down somewhere, but audio, I can drive, I can exercise, I can work. That's why.
yes, ma'am. Here we go. Poetry or romance? As far as you writing it or reading it, poetry or romance?
I'll go poetry. That's my heart. That's my first love.
What's your why on a poetry side?
I just love it so much. I just love the crafting of words and rhythms and rhymes, and it's just close to my heart.
I didn't ask you this earlier. I want to do it right now. Who are
Uh-huh.
some of your favorite poets that you love to read or watch their work?
I'll be I'll be honest, I consider music poetry. That's what I normally do. But my very best friend who I wrote the Audiogasmic book with is my favorite poet ever. My favorite poet ever.
Favorite poet ever.
Yes.
Heavy title. Heavy title. Heavy,
Everything.
heavy, heavy.
Favorite poet
Um,
ever.
And yourself in your history, do you perform poetry like slams or open mics and things
Yes.
like that?
Yes, I did. I hate to say back in the day because I'm only 22, but I did, I did back in the day. I'm not 22. I'm 23. No,
I see
no.
what you did
Let
there.
me
I see what you did. I see what you did. I see what you did.
let me stop. But yeah, back in the day, yes, I did. I performed all the time. I'm from New Jersey, so I did it in Jersey, Philly, tri-state area all the time. I used to perform in slams and everything. So yes.
Give the audience, if you can, a little glimpse of like, in my opinion, when you writing something in your little notebook or your journal or whatever, versus performing it, is it different for you?
Mm-mm. No, I
Okay.
write every piece like I'm going to perform it.
Oh, that's why. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I try to tell my friends all the time. For me, it's written a certain way in my phone. When I know I'm going to a slam and I'm doing it, I literally restructure it to make space for the pause and the dramatic
Yeah.
breath or a certain emphasis on the word. You know, I might rewrite the whole thing
Mhm.
for performance sake. That's why I'm asking
Right.
that question.
No, yeah, I write it the way I'm going to perform it, and it works
Gotcha,
out.
gotcha,
Works out that way.
gotcha. Okay, here we go. Love Jones or
Oh,
loving basketball? Love Jones or loving basketball?
you know what? I would normally have said Love and Basketball, but that movie got me in trouble. So I'll say Love Jones.
They got you in trouble.
It got me in trouble with
Okay, well,
myself.
I don't want to pry too much. I'm gonna leave it alone. But I
No,
definitely love.
I can tell you if you want me to tell you.
Yeah, come on. It's a show piece show. Come on, give it to me.
Because I had in my young brain that a woman chasing after a man was okay. Watching that.
I
So
see
I'll
what
just
that.
leave it
I
there.
see what that.
Yeah.
I see what you did. I see what you
Yes.
did. I see what you did.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, both of those are classics for sure. Classics.
Yes.
Love Jones is the singular reason why I started writing poetry, started being interested in poetry. That one movie set the whole. I'm sure for a lot of us, that one movie and one scene in particular really set the stage. Like, wow, that's a thing. Like, man.
Oh, with the first one, he said, "Say, baby, can I be your slave?" That
So,
one?
I performed that piece last month, the open mic. I performed
Oh,
it
you
for the
did.
first time. I really, really took my time and really like studied it and rehearsed
Do
it, and
it.
I performed it
Do
last
it.
month.
Do
Yeah, I did
it.
it last month.
Do it.
I
Do
can't do it
it.
right now, but I don't have it.
Why?
I don't have it in front of me. I don't have it with me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but I had a fun time doing it, and it's such an iconic piece. I
Mhm.
wanted to really do it justice, so I took it
Yes.
very seriously, and I would love to do it again one day. I'll do it again one day. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. Here we go. This is a difficult one. Let me get to the
Okay.
hard part.
Okay.
Hip hop, hip hop, or R&B.
R&B.
You said that like
I'm a
fast,
sucker
like
because I'm a
easy.
sucker for love.
Okay,
I'm a
okay,
sucker
okay,
for love.
okay. Who is your favorite R&B group?
Male or female?
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Female.
R&B group. I would have to say, if I'm pulling it all out, vocals, performance, all of that, I would go with In Vogue.
Yeah. That's no slight. Who's your favorite male group?
Um, I would have to say 112. I love 112.
112. Where the players dwell.
Yes, yes, yes.
So here we go. With all this Puff Daddy stuff going on,
Uh-oh.
are we going to cancel 112 catalog? Are we keeping it?
I'm not canceling their catalog. It's not their fault he did what he did.
You
I
you
mean,
you go you go you go you go fast forward to I thought I told you that we won't stop. I
you
thought I told
you
you that.
you know there is a version without him on it, right? But you know what has happened because it wasn't in my brain to block out him. So if I'm listening and I hear his voice, I'm like, ugh, you know, it's just like it. I can't listen to it. It's just
You
like
know,
I have to.
unfortunately, in our present day and age we living in, so much of our musical geniuses and things that we have from our childhood nostalgia, I'm trying to go and make a reel for something, for a book or something, and I go to a certain song and I
Yep.
forget who's on the song,
Yep.
and then I'll be like, oh, I can't use that one.
Yep.
I can't use that one.
Yep.
Not because I don't really like it, but because I know a person going to fixate on that more than whatever I'm posting. So it's like,
Yep.
it's not even worth it at that point,
Ye-
right?
Indeed.
Shout out 112.
Yeah.
Here we go. Last one.
Okay.
Now it's time to start a fight.
Uh-oh.
Don't come for me in the comments. Don't come for me later on. You watching this? Here we go.
Uh-oh.
Brandy or Monica?
Oh, see. I you know, this is the
Is
thing,
there?
Sean P.
Put them
This is
up.
the
Put them
thing.
up. Put them
This
up.
is the thing, Sean P. I'm not gonna fall into that trap. I'm not gonna fall into that trap. I will
We got
diplomatically
comments.
say,
We got comments.
I see. I will diplomatically say I love them both. I'm not gonna fall into that
You
trap.
gave the presidential answer. Oh man.
I mean, I have an answer, but I love them both.
I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. I know it's
I'm
tough. It's tough. Actually, the answer is both because unfortunately, we live in a versus kind of a world. I don't know why. But yeah, I definitely love both of them. They definitely got their own skills.
Oh, I didn't. My friend just texted me, Brandy. I didn't even know he was watching.
And now my friend in the chat, Winifred Summer, we debate this for months. Cause she is a Brandy fanatic.
Yeah,
I'm
I,
surprised she didn't comment already. She's a Brandy fanatic all
I'm.
day.
I'm not gonna
She is
say
Team
anything.
Brand.
I'm just gonna say diplomatically, I choose both. So yeah, but
Look,
you know
see?
what?
There we go. There we
You
go.
know what, Sean P.
There she go.
I see
In the
Monica.
comments.
Oh, those are some of your best friends. You know what, Sean P. I know you said you wanted to play lyrically correct. I know we're pretty much out of time. And I know you said you wanted to play lyrically correct, but as you also know, I'm not home and I forgot my game. And I didn't have an opportunity to get it delivered on time for this podcast. But I did get something that I've never even played before. It is called Black Card Revoked.
Oh my God.
I
Here we
literally
go.
taken the plastic off.
The queen of the game. The queen of the game. You should be a game host.
Yeah.
That's your calling in life, being a game host.
So if you're up to it, I can
Yes,
pull a card and see what you think.
let's do it.
And I just pulled off the plastic. I have no idea what
First out the
these
plastic.
cards are. So I'm
Brand
just gonna
new.
pull a couple.
Okay, here we go.
What?
Uh-oh.
Answer the question. The recipe for a good turn up is A, Crown Royal, B, Ciroc, C, Henny, or D, Patron.
Wow. You're gonna ask the non-drinker that question. But
Well,
from what I heard, they said hen make you sin. I'm gonna say hen.
Hennessy, you know what? I guess it's Hennessy. It don't give an answer. It just say majority rules.
Oh, okay. I heard
I
that
would
hen
say
make you sin.
Hennessy. Okay, here's some multiple choice. Here, okay.
Okay, here we go.
Who did the kid tell to purify herself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka? Is it A, Brenda, B, Vanity, C, Sheena, or D, Apollonia?
I'm gonna say
You know,
Apollonia.
Apollonia. You're right. That was from Purple Rain.
Purple rain?
All right.
I do
Okay.
this. I do this.
You see, you good at this stuff. I told you
I just
before.
being
Okay,
funny. I just being funny.
answer the question. Answer the question. But he went double platinum with no features. Is it A, Drake, B, J. Cole, C, Future, or D, 21 Savage?
I say J. Cole.
It is J. Cole. It is J. Cole. All
Cold,
right,
baby. Cold
let me give
world.
you one more. Let me give you one more.
Cold world.
I'm gonna see if I could find one.
Trying to throw me off my own
Okay,
show.
okay.
Trying to throw me off.
I am trying
Trying to
to
throw me off.
challenge you. Okay, this is a coming to America question. All right. Who is Prince Akeem's silky smooth rival in Coming to America? Is it A, Randy Watson, B, Tommy, C, Cleo McDowell, or D, Daryl?
Daryl.
It's Daryl. Now, how does
Touchdown.
song go? How does
Come
song
on,
go?
man.
Do you remember the Soul Glow song?
I remember the soul. I remember the soul go. Yeah.
You don't.
I'm
How
not
do
gonna.
you
I'm
know how
not
the
gonna. I'm
song
not gonna. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna try to sing it, but I remember the song. Yes. 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 You're not gonna catch me slipping on my own. I told you, my mama. My mama watching this show, so
go?
I'm not gonna embarrass myself on my own
I'm not going to
platform.
embarrass myself either by
Yeah.
doing that.
But yes.
Yeah,
I
Black
watch
Card Revoked.
Black Card Revolt. Wow. Is that from the same company? Or that's a different brand.
It's actually a different company. I
Oh,
couldn't
different.
get
Okay.
the other one in time, so I
Okay.
just black owned. I'm always
And
trying to play black owned.
we've been fun to hear audience on her show. We played a wonderful round of it's called
Lyrically
Lyrically
correct. Lyrically correct.
Correct. And then
Uh-huh.
on her live show, we played it again. We had another great time. I think I missed like three that night. I was slipping that night. I missed three. Um, but you have an actual partnership with them. Tell them about that.
I do. Thank you for bringing that up. So, if you go to my site or my bio, I have I can't think of, well, if you go to IG and you go to my IG bio, I have a link where you can earn 10% off your purchase of Lyrically Correct, the game. And it's very, very tempting to order it off of Amazon, but Lyrically Correct, they ship within 24 to 48 hours, and it's always best to buy it from the vendor, like we were just saying. So 10% you can save. Go to my link in my bio on IG, Kya Montague _ author. You can find me and play the game, y'all. It's fun.
It is a very, very fun time.
Fun.
Totally love it. And tell them they have various genre. Like they got gospel.
Yeah.
They have different
Gospel,
age
music.
periods. Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So it's a lot of different games. The game that we were playing was 90s R&B and hip hop, but they also have like 60s and 70s, 80s gospel and things like that where it kind of fits into whatever genre you like. And to me, they're all family friendly.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
there's nothing
yeah.
too
It's not.
crazy in there
Yeah,
that
it's
I
not.
that I thought. So they're family friendly games and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and then the holidays coming up. You're gonna
Oh
have family and friends around, so it's a perfect time to go ahead and have something to laugh at. After y'all finish eating y'all food, in between the games and all that, you
yeah,
can play a
for
good game
sure.
and be interactive with your loved ones, man. So it's definitely a great time to have. Thank you very, very much for saying yes. I'm always thankful to my guests. Had a wonderful time. It was fun doing this show.
Yes, I had
Love
a
doing it.
really nice time. It was a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
a lot of fun. You're a multi-published person once again, so I will have you back on to discuss a whole different project, and we'll play some more game.
Yes.
And I'll do a piece this time. I'll do a piece. I'll do
Okay.
some market. I'm gonna do
Imma hold
something.
you to that. Imma hold
Yeah,
you to
yeah.
that.
I
Do
got you.
you
I
know
got
what? You know what, Sean P?
you. What up?
I wanna play Lyrically Correct. Somebody need to play with me. I
Yeah,
wanna play.
yeah. Well, by then I'm gonna have my own set of cards
Yes,
off,
yes.
off of your site, off of your link. I'm gonna get my own set, and we gonna play. We gonna play.
Yep. I look
Put those
forward to.
feet to the fire.
Yep. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So thank y'all very much. This is another fun episode of the Sean P Experience, man. Anybody watching this later on, please comment. I will answer your comments even in the future. Comment, tap it to her sister, go to her IG page. She got multiple pages. Mic'd Up Podcast. Go and get the book.
Get the book.
Get the audio book.
Get the
Get the
audio.
audio gasmic. I'm not making that up. That's what it's called. The audio gasmic. Go
No,
and
you
get that. Huh? What?
You said you're not making it.
No, because they think I'm being silly. I'm just telling you, that's what
No,
it's called.
the book, the poetry book is called Audiogasmic. Yes.
There it is. I'm not being funny right now. So go ahead and get the word, support the sister. This has been great. You'll see me back here on November the 14th. I'll be right back with the book, The Bodies Keep Coming. That's right. The Bodies Keep Coming. Dr. Brian Williams will be here on the Sean P Experience. Look out for the flyer and the promo for that. Until next time, peace.